2020 has actually been a really positive and good year for me. In all honesty, being at home has allowed me to focus on the one thing that I enjoy the most without any pressure: songwriting. MYRNE is a young musician who set the Singapore music scene on fire. By the second year of college, MYRNE had 10,000 followers on SoundCloud. In 2015, he was signed on by Matt Decent, which belongs to the Grammy-winning producer Diplo. So let's call MYRNE from Singapore. Hi MYRNE, how's it going, man?
Hey, what's up, Prateek? It's good. Yeah, it's good here in Singapore.
Good to be here. Excited for this chat.
Good to finally see you. Yeah. So tell me more about yourself.
I'm primarily a singer-songwriter. I feel like when I started off, I was more of a songwriter and I wanted to be that, and then I kind of got sucked into touring a lot. And what about you?
So I'm a producer here in Singapore, where I've been born and raised. I make mostly electronic music, and recently I've gotten into songwriting, just writing lyrics for my own songs.
What kind of influences did you grow up with? What kind of informs your music?
I think my parents were quite old school. They would just leave the radio on all the time. So I listened to a lot of old 80s, 90s music growing up, a lot of disco. And that kind of segued into my love for electronic music, notably like sampling and Daft Punk.
Oh, amazing. You know, it's funny you mentioned your parents. I feel like my dad is almost like music agnostic. Like he doesn't really care beyond a point. But there used to be like two records that he and my mom both liked a lot. There's this Canadian songwriter and performer, Cliff Richards, and Harry Belafonte. So I heard a lot of those two growing up, and then when I was a bit older, my elder sister was in her teens. She started getting a lot more music in the house and a lot of cassette tapes again, like growing up in the 90s. So I feel like when I was a kid, I loved Harry Belafonte and Cliff Richards both, and then it kind of progressed into the popular music of the 90s, like even like Backstreet Boys and Boyzone for a bit.
That was a good era.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like that kind of ballad, songwriting, did it influence your music a lot?
I feel like my core songwriting comes a lot from American traditional folk music. And one of the first few artists I got really into was Elliott Smith. That really informed my songwriting and got me like passionate about songwriting.
I remember the first real show I played as MYRNE in Singapore. I was 18. I was waiting to enter the military, and I got an offer to open for Kashmir Cat in Singapore. And it was at Zouk Singapore, so like iconic venue. It was at Jakim Street. I remember going to it a bunch of times as a raver, just partying, having some good weekends there. So when the offer came, like it was like a modest fee. I was just more excited to open for one of my idols.
Super dope, man. And what was the street you were talking about in Singapore? Is it like a very like culture? Is there like a lot of live music there?
No, the opposite actually. So Zouk Singapore, like the original location for Zouk, it was at Jakim Street, and it was actually a nightclub in the middle of like residential apartments. So they would always get noise complaints, but it was iconic because it was the only nightlife place in that area, and everyone would go there and they would drink all over the street, me included. And a lot of cool memories there.
Oh, that's really cool, man.
So one of the really cool places that I played recently, 2 years ago in Singapore, was Crystal Pavilion in Chinatown, in the middle of Chinatown. And Chinatown is usually not known for like a huge like nightlife or club scene. Crystal Pavilion is basically a concert space, and it's called that because the walls are absolutely transparent, they're glass.
I'm really like fascinated by this venue just because of how it is visually. Like it's like literally all the walls are glass. But if I was outside, I could see everything inside. Like just
you could see, and I'm sure you could hear as well. So I've caught some cool acts over there, like Bondax from the UK and FKJ. He had a really sick like piano set in that same venue. So have you ever been to Singapore, or do you have any good memories from Singapore?
First time I went was I think it was the 2016. That's when the F1 happened in Singapore, right?
Yeah. The F1 has been happening a couple of years, but yeah, I think the big one is 2016.
That was my first time in Singapore. Playing at the F1 was like really crazy, of course, and then afterwards just hanging out there and checking out the the races. There's a lot of energy in that city, you know, like there's so much happening. So I was playing like this really tiny stage, not that many people over there at all.
But you still played at F1.
I played at the F1, so it was really exciting. I was really excited. I don't really like, I don't remember specific places, of course, because it was a while back, but I remember like really digging the food and the bar culture in Singapore in general. I'm vegetarian, but I don't remember having any issues.
Actually, pretty accessible because we have a big Indian diaspora. There's this building called Fortune Tower, right in the center, that only serves vegetarian food from all cultures, like Indian vegetarian food, Chinese vegetarian food. And sometimes it's like really fancy restaurants, sometimes it's like roadside stalls, but everything in that building is vegetarian.
Oh, that's really cool. I would have never thought like there would be like a whole, like it was so prevalent in Singapore.
But on like a broader topic of food in general, like I think Singapore is one of the best destinations for like really cheap and tasty hawker food, where I think you can't find anywhere else in the world. Like if I'm traveling in the US, everything is fast food, or everything is either fancy or fast food. But in Singapore, I feel like there's a balance where you could have a really awesome, like life-changing plate of maybe, for example, like chicken rice or nasi lemak, and it will cost you like $2 to $3. So I think, yeah, that's one thing I'm really proud of.
When I was coming to Singapore for the first time, I remember everybody said this, that, oh, you gotta have the chicken rice. I was like, man, I can't actually eat the chicken rice because I'm vegetarian. But I heard so much about it.
Yeah, it's weird. You would expect like a 5-star restaurant to have a Michelin star, but instead it's this roadside stall with like metal frames and like this old uncle just, you know, making pot out of this like big black wok. So yeah.
But one thing I really like doing because, you know, especially when you're touring alone, is just like kind of check out the art scene in the city. Like I really like going to museums sometimes. So I was touring by myself. So every time I got like 3 or 4 hours off, you just go to a museum and walk around and check out the art. And it's just, it's like a nice solo activity to do.
If you're really into like the futuristic, very high-tech exhibits, like the ARTSCIENCE Museum near Marina Bay is actually pretty cool. And something that's really nice for me, like as a citizen here, is that they change their galleries maybe quite more often than, you know, regular museums. So there's always like a traveling kind of exhibit that's showcasing, you know, some quirky novel idea, and it's only there for a couple of months.
And this art and science museum you're talking about, is it like technology, or is it more like really futuristic art pieces, or a bit of both?
So I think the name comes behind. They have, you know, your own like contemporary and classical like art galleries, and you also have really high-tech exhibits that play with, you know, optical illusions or lights, or featuring, you know, very modern artists.
That kind of sounds like right up my alley, what you're talking about. Definitely going to check that out next time in Singapore.
Yeah, if you come here, I'll definitely take you around. Yeah, see some cool places. Maybe you can write a couple songs together.
For sure, dude. Definitely spend some time in the studio.
Can you play something for me, maybe?
Yeah, sure. I can play one of my songs.
What's this called?
So this song's called Cold Mess. It's kind of old at this point. It came out in 2018. But yeah, this is kind of like the acoustic version of
Gotcha.
You know, the song, obviously. When I feel cold, I'll keep you close. And if I could hold you and take you home, and when at night your toes touch mine, I'll sing you to sleep. If you are mine to keep, I wish I could leave you, my love, but my heart is a mess. My days, they begin with your name, and nights end with your breath. I wish I could leave you, my love, but my heart is a mess. My days, they begin with your name, and nights end with your breath. with your breath. To sway just like it was Friday night, and all the lights will blind me dry, and my lullaby is your side, and I can feel it when you cry. I wish I could leave you, my love, but my heart is a mess. My days, they begin with your name, and nights end with your breath. I wish I could leave you, my love, but my heart is a mess. Days, they begin with your name, and nights end with your breath. With your breath.
Woo! Damn, dude. I felt
Thanks,
like
man. Cheers.
sway my hands halfway. Quite the voice. Thanks,
Cheers.
man. So yeah, Prateek, I'm sure you have like some crazy stories about tour maybe. Let's play a little game. It's something we play here. It's like a drinking game, but you don't have to drink, obviously. It's called Two Truths and One Lie. So basically, I'm going to say 3 sentences. Your job is to find which one the lie is.
Yeah, man. Let's go on. Like, this is a cool game.
With 3 statements. 1, I've had my equipment break mid-show, or my USB break mid-show. 2, I've taken a taxi cross-country just for a show. And 3, I've once puked on stage. Which one's the lie?
It must be like puked on stage, right? Actually. Because I'm sure like the USB breaking and taxi thing has happened. That sounds like something that could have happened.
No, actually, the one that has never happened yet was the USB breaking on stage.
Oh, really? That's I feel like it would like, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm super lucky with that. I've never had my equipment fail. Sometimes like the DJ set will spin and cause a little hiccup, but it won't completely shut down. So I'm grateful for that. I think the equipment gods have been quite good to me.
Oh, thank God, touch wood.
2 that were true though. I've once taken a taxi from Washington all the way to Vancouver just for a show because we missed the flight. We missed the connecting flight. For some reason it was super snowy, it was in the winter, it was January. Turns out it's perfectly legal to take a taxi from the United States to Canada, and we still made it to the show on time.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What about like throwing up on stage? I want to hear about that as well.
Every time I go out and drink, I'll come home like a little drunk, a little, tipsy. And what I like to do is just sit in the shower for like 10 minutes and occasionally drink shower water. So,
Okay.
So like to kind of just hydrate myself, right? Because I don't want to go to sleep with a headache and wake up feeling terrible. And in Singapore, you can kind of do that because the water is like a little clean. And some places in the US, you can do that too. But I was traveling in Taiwan. I spent like 5 days there. And I was meeting a lot of friends in Taiwan. And I was going out, getting drunk, eating a lot of food. And every night I would come home and do the same little ritual, like just drink shower water. And turns out like there's nothing wrong with Taiwan's water, it's just that the pipes of the hotel I was staying were really rusty. And I remember on the next day, I was feeling a little pukey and I was like, I thought, I'm not hungover, why is this happening? So I just chalked it down to the water. And I went to the show venue and I said like, hey, I don't feel too good. I definitely don't want to cancel the show, but can you definitely leave a pail on stage? Or like a bucket. So like on cue, like midway through the show, I felt, like nauseous enough and I just threw up in the middle of it.
But you just like played the show anyway.
I just did it, and after that I just
and nobody probably noticed it.
No one noticed.
I feel like listeners and audiences can never don't know most of the shit that goes down backstage. Like there's so much stuff like that happens for like performers that things go wrong, and we just pretend that everything's
Yeah,
great and
yeah.
like
The show must go on.
that's a crazy
you know?
story. Yeah, the show must go on. Yeah, but how's the lockdown been for you? You know, like I feel like that's the biggest thing that's happening to everybody right now. How's it been for you?
I just put out an EP actually that I wrote during lockdown.
Okay, congrats.
Thank you. It actually has a lot of stuff that I'm singing on. I decided to do that during this lockdown because I thought like might as well use my voice. I'm nowhere near as good as you are.
But I mean, speaking of live shows, man, like why don't you play me some of your music now? That would be really dope.
Sure. Yeah, we can do that.
And yeah, I mean, and before that, also just like you know, really had a really great time talking to you and catching up, man, and really look forward to, you know, seeing you sometime soon once, you know, things get back
Yeah.
to normal. I'm sure like I'm gonna come down to Singapore sometime. Hopefully you come down to India and like, you know, definitely like
Yeah.
hang out and like catch up.
I've
sometime.
actually never been to India.
You should definitely come down.
So
Definitely.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'll definitely head over as soon
And
as
there's
I
like a
can.
big electronic music scene in India as well.
Yeah.
and it's gonna be
Speaking
really
of
dope.
Goa trance is actually
Yeah.
like a genre in
Yeah,
itself.
I
So I've
know.
been really
Yeah.
interested
Yeah.
to check that out.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool. But yeah, super nice talking to you, man. It's been a really enlightening conversation for me and I had fun.
Likewise, likewise.